Welcome back to Talk 99.5. Jeff Port in for Leland on this Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for listening. One more hour to go. You get me, and then this will be it. The parade of guest hosts will continue throughout the week, but I will relent these duties, and maybe I'll be back later in the year. I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, as promised, joining us on the line here, he represents a lot of you in this listening area from the 6th Congressional District. A good friend of mine, a good friend of my program down in Mobile, Congressman Gary Palmer is with us. Congressman, good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, you almost said good morning.
I did, yeah. It's just a habit. Yeah. I also said the Jeff Port Show as I left. I don't know. It's been one of those long days.
Well, like I said, if they paid you overtime, there'd be no tax on it.
Well, that is one thing I would have working for me. Hey, well, let's talk about the big, beautiful bill. It's done. It's signed into law. And I kind of wanted to put a period on it here. But I think this is maybe not getting the accolades it deserves. I mean, this was a big achievement for the president, for his administration, for his legacy even. But it took a lot of work to get there.
Well, it's the one big beautiful bill. It's not the one big perfect bill, and you're never going to get a perfect bill. I remind people that I get asked all the time, why can't you do this or do that? And I remind people that there's 221 Republicans in the House, and they're not all from Alabama. They don't think like we do. That said, this is a major accomplishment, and what the Democrats are pushing and the left-wing media is pushing is misinformation and telling people that tens of thousands of people are going to die. That's absurd. Telling people that they're going to lose their health insurance and lose their Medicaid is absurd. You just have to go back. People have short memories, Jeff. If you go back to 2017 when we first passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the Congressional Budget Office predicted that 13 million people lose their health insurance and 5 million would be dropped from Medicaid. None of that happened. They predicted a major drop in revenues. That didn't happen. Revenues actually went up. And it's the same thing now. They're misrepresenting what's in the bill and how the bill is going to impact people.
The Medicaid stuff is certainly of interest. And I'll start with this, the work requirement. Can you talk us through that? Now, I was told that the work requirement that the Gingrich and the Republicans passed in the 90s, that they finally got Bill Clinton to agree with, was much more stringent than what you guys have put forward.
Yeah. In the 60s, they made the same predictions. You had people who literally went to the floor and said that there would be children begging for food in the streets. It'd be like Calcutta, India, that much poverty. And what happened was the poverty rate went down, more people went to work, and you had about a 65% decline in people on welfare. What happened under Obama was he took away all of those requirements, and then under Biden, they actually expanded the number of people that would qualify for Medicaid. And just to give you an example, they're predicting 4.8 million 7.8 million people are going to lose Medicaid. Well, 4.8 million of those are the very people you just mentioned, able-bodied adults with no children who refuse to even work 20 hours a week or even volunteer 20 hours a week. If they work 20 hours a week or volunteered, they could stay on Medicaid. Another 1.4 million are people who are in the country illegally. We shouldn't be providing them with welfare benefits on the backs of the American taxpayer. And then 1.6 million are already eligible for other insurance, low-cost subsidized insurance under Obamacare. So practically nobody, if they're willing to work even 20 hours a week, would be without Medicaid coverage or health insurance.
Well, and Congressman, at least in Alabama, if this kind of coverage is something you covet, something you really, really want, I mean, there's plenty of opportunities to get health insurance coverage. There are jobs for that. And, to hear some of the scaremongering, I just it does seem a little bit opportunist to me, but it's not as if you need coverage. If this is something there are other ways besides Medicaid in this economy.
Well, we're working on that too. I've got a bill that sets up a parallel marketplace. It's called the New Health Options Act, HR 1776. That would create a parallel marketplace with lower premiums, with greater choice in what you want in terms of individual health insurance. It would lower premiums to a level that small business owners would be able to provide health insurance. We need to have some new options. I'm not saying that we're going to eliminate Obamacare or any of that. We just need to give people more choice. And the other thing is that the Democrats are doing, they're saying that this is a cut, that we're cutting Medicaid. That's not true either. Medicaid is going to continue to, funding for Medicaid is going to continue to go up by 20% over the next 10 years. And when the spending's going up, I don't think you can legitimately call it a cut.
The other aspects, components of this bill, and I think a lot of it's just it funds some of what the president's already doing regarding immigration. It's one thing to fulfill the obligations of the law, but you got to be able to pay for it. You got to be able to have the people to do it, the resources, and to me, that's one of the important parts of this.
Well, it covers a lot of things, Jeff. One of the biggest bills that Congress has ever passed, certainly one of the most impactful, that a lot of the focus has obviously been on the Medicaid side of it, but it also funds the completion of the border wall and increases the number of Border Patrol agents. It unleashes our energy potential so that we can truly not only be energy independent, but be an energy superpower, which we should by rights be anyway. It increases funding for our military, gives our soldiers a pay raise, and improves their housing, things that we should have been taking care of all along.
Joined by Congressman Gary Palmer here on the program. Congressman, so the other part of this, and there's a lot of discussion now, especially from the left, but even some like Republican pundits, they're worried about the midterms. What do you think? Is there a way, number one, that this can be sold as something that's not a liability? But number two, is it going? Well, what do you think? Will there be? Does this need to be sold a little bit better, or is there nothing to see here, nothing to worry about here?
Well, I think we could do a much better job on the messaging. That's why I do shows like yours, because I know I'm going to get asked fair questions, and even if I don't get asked fair questions, I'm going to give the right answers. And I think what's going to happen is the Democrats are out saying that tens of thousands of people are going to die and kids will be starving in the streets. That's not going to happen, and it's going to be apparent to everybody. We're going to see the biggest percentage of benefit in terms of the percentage of tax cuts are going to the middle class. They're going to see their take home income go up. People who work in restaurants and other places where they depend on tip income, when they file their tax return in April, Jeff, they're not going to have to pay taxes on overtime. They're not going to have to pay taxes on tips. Senior citizens are going to see an increased deduction on their Social Security. People are going to see the benefits of this. And I also think you're going to see some pretty substantial economic growth coming out of this, which is really what makes this bill different from what we did in 2017 with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is we got it done in time for the benefits to actually show up in people's tax returns before the next election.
Well, and furthermore, though, what is the outlook? I mean, for the midterms, obviously, historically there are headwinds. Do you worry about that? I mean, what are you hearing among your colleagues about the 2026 midterms?
Well, I haven't had a lot of discussion with my colleagues about it, but my own personal observations are I think we have a chance to actually increase our majority in the House. Again, because the Democrat policies are so stupid, frankly. Think about this. They opposed this bill, which, had it failed, Americans would have faced a $4 trillion tax increase starting January 1st this next year. So they wanted to impose a $4 trillion tax increase. I think if we get out and talk frankly and honestly about what we're doing, the public's going to be with us. We're keeping the promises that were made during the campaign. Think about where we are in terms of border security, the lowest number of apprehensions ever recorded. Think about where we are just in violent crime. I just read today where a homicide is down the lowest level since 1960 when we first started reporting the data on homicides. So we're going in the right direction. In terms of foreign policy, the Middle East is a complete reset. We've neutralized the threat from Iran of having a nuclear weapon. NATO is ramping up their defense spending. All but two nations, I think, are going to hit 5%. All but two will hit the 3.5%, and the others are hitting 5%. There are two that are kind of laggards. But just think about where we are, and it wouldn't surprise me in the least to see President Trump get awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, as he's doing things that, frankly, are just a few months ago were unmanageable.
Last question, and we'll get you out of here on this. Though, there's a lot in the bill, and this is probably going to have to be in concert, not just with the tax cuts, but we'll see if these trade deals start getting done between now and August 1st. But do you anticipate kind of an uptick in the economy?
I do. One of the other problems with the Congressional Budget Office's projections on this bill was they projected economic growth at 1.8% over the next 10 years. That's a full percentage point below what it's averaged over the last 10 years. And keep in mind, in the last 10 years, we basically went through 2 years of COVID. So I think you're going to see a pretty significant uptick in the economy. You're going to see more jobs. You're going to see better pay. And on the world stage, I think we've got some issues we got to deal with, obviously the war in Ukraine. And the threat of China, but we're working on these things, particularly decoupling ourselves and eliminating a lot of our dependency on China for things critical to the economy, like critical minerals and rare earth elements and pharmaceutical ingredients, things like that. You're going to see President Trump take the lead on this, and I think you're going to see Congress work hand in hand with him to get these things done. I think the American people are going to appreciate it.
Congressman, we got to leave it there. Once again, congrats on the committee assignments today. I saw that news, but thanks for hopping on real quick.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be on with you, Jeff. You do a great job.
You're very, very kind. Congressman Gary Palmer there joining the program. We got to get a break here. We'll be right back. Jeff Ployer for Leland Whaley here on Talk 99.5.